It's the 10th of July and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Tonight we look at the shocking results in the World Cup and how the results of the Indonesian election are still undecided, with both candidates claiming victory. Still, I've got a World Cup style solution: penalty vote. I will just write my choice down and send it Jakarta's way to break this deadlock. He shoots! And he finds out he's not allowed to vote in Indonesian elections. Honestly, I've wasted so many votes in overseas elections. Some democracy this planet is. Here's Mark Humphries with the headlines.
You're still sick.
Again? My contract clearly stipulates I get one massage during Mark's headlines, and by God, I'm going to make sure that happens. Seaton, get in here. Oh, yeah. Ready? Okay. Oh my God, these shoulders are so tight. Cut to the roast breakfast show. These knots are gonna need some tom time. There you go.
Clark's sick too.
Don't we have some 10-minute news show we can cut to?
Oh, your shoulders are just so big. You're like Atlas, carrying the weight of the world, all the stresses.
You're on air.
Yes. Tonight, the polls have closed in the Indonesian elections, so if you're watching from Indonesia, selamat datang. Or if you're joining us from the Gold Coast and you think Indonesia is just some island off the coast of Bali, selamat bintang. Now, for the last few decades, pretty much the only thing we've had in common with Indonesia is the fact that we both have to stop over in Thailand when we fly to the UK. And that one dick joke about stopping over in Bangkok is wearing pretty thin. In fact, the differences between Australia and the largely Muslim nation with a population of 247 million are so big that international relations expert Dr. Carl Ungara says no two neighbouring countries on the planet are more unalike. And the boring Dr. Carl is right. The guys running for president aren't even Tony Abbott and Bill Shorten. So we sent Alex Lee and Jazz Twemlow to Jakarta to answer Australia's most pressing political question.
Who these guys?
Jazz, who should the roast endorse?
Tom, let me answer your question with a question. Do you want to be cool?
More than anything. Why?
Then you'll throw your D-grade celebrity weight behind Joko Widodo, the humble businessman turned Jakarta governor who wears a trademark check shirt, has a cool nickname, and stands for a clean, corruption-free Indonesia.
Tom, let me interrupt Jazz's question with a question. Do you want to be a real man?
Oh, almost as much as I want to be cool. Why?
Then you'll endorse the former military general and the man's man, Prabowo Subianto. He's experienced, he stands for tradition, and he's the leader of the Great Indonesia Movement Party.
Yeah, you know what the acronym of that party is, Tom? It's GIMP. You want to be the guy who votes for the GIMP party, be my guest. In the meantime, I'll be chilling over here with my man, the Indonesian Obama. As governor of Jakarta, he introduced a free healthcare card for the poor, and he's even had to face his own ridiculous birth certificate smear campaign, suggesting Jokowi was an ethnic Chinese Christian rather than a Muslim.
Yeah, sounds like Chinese Christian talk to me, Tom. Widodo's a furniture exporter, and nobody but Prabowo. Prabowo's got 4 microphones and a horse. And look at this cool campaign video.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Yeah, my guy got young voters to put his tubby face on a T-shirt and do a conga line.
Yeah, but your guy is also an ex-military general who authorised his unit to kidnap and allegedly torture 23 student activists in 1998. So if he asks kids to dance for him, they're damn well gonna boogie. If Prabowo asked, they'd probably do a limbo over hot coals as well.
Oh, he learned his lesson. The army sacked him.
And then apparently wrote him a great reference because now he's running for president. But in Obama, he's the reformist candidate. He visits the slums, he wants universal education to put an end to corruption and rebuild the country. He's basically Mary Poppins in a hard hat.
Well, General Four Mics over here is big on infrastructure, and that worked for Abbott. You know, he wants to build 3,000 kilometres of roads, which is like heaps of roads.
Yeah, roads probably built by and out of kidnapped students. He recently said that a Western-style political system doesn't suit Indonesia. Yeah, because democracy was so last season.
By all means, Tom, listen to Jazz and make sure Indonesia's next leader is a heavy metal-loving man-child. Button that shirt, Widodo, you're running for president.
Yeah, okay, guys, just calm down there. I guess it all comes down to this. Who is going to buy a lot of our cows, give us back Chappelle, but stop the people smugglers?
Neither.
Well, I mean, they're both more nationalistic than Yudhoyono.
And they will not have forgotten that we spied on Indonesia.
So what does this all mean?
Well, the next 5 years will be rough if you're an Australian diplomat.
Very rough. From Jakarta, I'm Alex Lee.
I'm Jez Twemlow.
Back to you in the studio, Tom.
Oh, sounds like you and I aren't so different after all.
Yeah, want to go watch a movie after they've tallied the votes?
Yeah, sure, let's go.
Let's go.
And with 67 million first-time voters, political parties and their supporters have been doing everything possible to appeal to all voters, including releasing iPhone games featuring their policies. So to look at those games, we turn now to the Roast's long-running video game review program, Great Game.
Hello, I'm Noob Destroyer.
And I'm David. Oh.
And welcome to Great Game.
We start with Flap Jokowi Man, the game where you play as a reformist politician, Joko Widodo. In the game, you fly through the air dressed like Superman and dodge various obstacles like fistfuls of corruption money.
Well, David, I found that it was a bright and happy game that really sells his campaign message of, I've never kidnapped students and I actually have superpowers. Pretty different from the most popular game that features his opponent, Prabowo, Asian Tiger.
Set in 1998, Jakarta lies in ruins. 1998, of course, is the year that Prabowo authorised the abduction of anti-government activists. So it's no wonder that in this game, this military leader runs around and shoots anything that moves.
But that game wasn't actually released by Prabowo.
No, that's right, Noob Destroyer. It seems it was sort of a game of fan fiction from people who longed for the authoritarian days of old. Now, these are both very hard games, both very nationalistic, but one is a lot scarier than the other. I would have to give Prabowo, Asian Tiger, one general who was until recently blacklisted from entering Australia for allegations of human rights abuses, out of 10. And what about your game, Noob Destroyer?
I'm going to give Flap Jokowi Man 2 cross fingers you're going to get elected and 9 rubber chickens for some reason.
Tune in next week when we'll be looking at Yudhoyono's Island.
The game where you play as retired President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono bouncing around on a tropical paradise eating fruit.
That does explain why whenever Yudhoyono eats a red shell, he spits fireballs. And so, while we may not know the final result for a couple of weeks, it's good to know that democracy works in Indonesia, where anyone can run for president regardless of their past. I'm sure you might have abducted some protesters 15 years ago, but if you've got a good social media campaign and a fun little game that appeals to young people, you will move mountains to undisclosed locations to prevent them from protesting the authoritarian government you support. We'll be right back.
Have you ever been in an election with the polar opposite of yourself? Did your rival come from the mirror world? Did an iPhone game perfectly crystallise how different you were from your mirror world self? We'd love to hear about it. At the Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
Finally tonight, the FIFA World Cup wraps up in the early hours of Monday morning. Right around the same time, I'll be wrapping up my nightly hunt of the undead. It's good to keep busy. Of course, all the talk over the past 48 hours has been about Germany's thumping 7-1 victory over hosts Brazil. Favourites haven't been smashed like that since someone left a box of them in my change room. Except for the Moros, of course. Stop trying to be Mars bars, Moro. You're not fooling anyone. But it wasn't all sobbing and fraudulent chocolate bars. As Germany scored its 5th goal, gunshots rang out in an outdoor fan site, sparking thousands of fans to run in terror down Brazil's most famous beach. It was just like the running of the bulls, except in this case, the bulls were heavily armed favela gangs rushing through the crowd snatching bags and jewellery. And it's not just the players and fans and victims of armed robbery who were affected by yesterday's loss.
Some political analysts had suggested that an early exit could lead to a jump in protests and potentially an early exit from office for Brazil's President Dilma.
Which sounds harsh, but it's her own fault for campaigning on a platform of vote for me and Brazil will definitely win the World Cup, I promise. Regardless of who is to blame, as a football-loving nation and the host country, Brazil is taking the news pretty hard. I also shudder to think how the Roast's own newly fanatical Brazilian soccer fan Nick will take the news.
Oh, we lost. Why, Neymar? So beautiful, with such terrible hair.
It's okay, Nick.
No, it's not. Who keeps it short at the sides and long at the top?
Yeah.
I do like his highlights, though.
So, you gonna be all right?
I'll be okay. You remember, of course, that I am 1/16th Brazilian on my mother's side. That emotional Latin part of me is absolutely distraught. The Australian part, however, So I have a message to my hysterical Brazilian side. How do I be like you?
Wait, what?
Your verve, your passion, your ability to stage a mass beach robbery at the drop of 5 goals. There's nothing in the world I care about as much as you care about football. My mother died in my arms while my father died by my hand, and I cried less than you. Much less. In fact, I think I laughed. Australia thinks we're sports obsessed? I have never seen grown men scream cry in public. Australia, get your sports shit together. Be more like Brazil.
Well, we already kind of are. I mean, our government spends millions on sport.
No, not nearly enough. I want the poor completely ignored. Hospitals not being built. Schools falling to rubble. I want our entire economy invested into a single sport so I can learn how to feel again.
God, I hope not. I mean, it is just a game.
You take that back. I'm sorry, Tom. It's my fiery Latin side. It's unpredictable.
It's okay. And look, don't cry, Brazil. You only lost one match. It's the widespread poverty and FIFA's exploitation that should really be turning on the old face sprinklers for you. Good night.
Oh, Tom? I forgot something.
Oh, yeah. We're off the air for the next 3 weeks, but you will be able to enjoy some classic episodes from our archives.
Well, we drink things that have tiny umbrellas in them.
Then we're back with all new episodes August 4th at the permanent time slot of 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, this current time slot has been more temperamental than I am. Am I right?
Oh, good night. Were those last slaps because of your fiery Latin heritage?
Yeah, sure.